Friends, once again I am here with a wonderful and interesting story from the Arabian Nights. Each of the Arabian Nights stories is very famous, and they provide both entertainment and learning. This is why these stories, despite being hundreds of years old, are still popular today. So let's begin today's story. The story of blind Baba Abdullah. A long time ago, in a city called Baghdad, the king was passing through a market when he saw a blind man who was pleading with everyone passing by, "For God's sake, please hit me on the head." The king was surprised that while beggars are known for asking for money, this beggar is asking people to hit him on the head. To understand what was going on, the king sat down with the old man and began to learn his story. Baba Abdullah said, "I was born in the city of Baghdad. When my parents died, I inherited their property. It was so much that I could live comfortably on it for the rest of my life. But I quickly squandered all my money on luxuries. Then I worked hard and bought 80 camels. I rented them out to merchants. I made a good profit from their rent, so I bought some more camels and started using them to transport goods. Once, I loaded the camels with the goods of merchants going to India and took them to Basra. There, after loading the goods onto ships and collecting my fare, I took my camels back to Baghdad. Seeing a large green field on the way, I tied the camels' feet, let them graze, and rested. Meanwhile, a fakir traveling from Basra to Baghdad came and sat down with me. I brought out some food and asked him to come with me. We continued talking while eating. He said, "You work day and night for nothing. There's a place not far from here that's filled with countless treasures. You can trade these 80 camels for priceless diamonds, silver, and ashraf, and that money will be enough for you for a lifetime." After listening, I hugged him and said, "No." I knew he was trying to gain some personal benefit from this. I told him, "You're a saint. What do you have to do with worldly wealth? Show me that place, and I'll fill the camels with gems. I promise to give you one of those camels." I said it just for the sake of it, but my mind began to swirl. Sometimes I thought, what's the point of promising one camel? Sometimes I thought, 79 camels are enough for me. The fakir understood my turmoil. He wanted to teach me a lesson. He said, "What can I do with just one camel? I'll show you that place on the condition that you give me half of your treasure-filled camels. Now it's your choice. You decide for yourself whether 40 camels are too little for you." I was forced to agree. I also thought the money from 40 camels would be enough for me for many generations. We both started walking in opposite directions. After passing through a narrow mountain pass, we reached an open plain between the mountains. The place was completely deserted. The fakir said, "Sit the camels here and come with me." I said, making the camels sit down, and went with him. After a short distance, the fakir gathered dry wood, struck a fire with a flint, and ignited the fire. When the fire burned, he took fragrant perfume from his bag and poured it into the flames. A huge cloud of smoke rose from it and began to move in one direction. After a short distance, it burst, revealing a large mound. A path from where we were to the mound also formed. When we reached it, we saw a door in the mound. Moving beyond the door, we found a large cave, in which we could see a magnificent palace built by the jinns. This palace was so large that humans could not have built it. When we went inside, we saw immense wealth, heaps upon heaps of gold coins. I pounced on one such heap like a lion pounces on its prey. I began filling the camels' saddles with gold coins. The fakir also began collecting money, but he only filled them with gems. He also asked me to leave the gold coins aside and pick up only gems. I did the same. I felt like this. We filled the entire trunk with precious gems. I was about to leave when the fakir went into another room, and I followed him. It contained various gold items. The fakir opened a gold chest and took out a wooden box. Opening it, I saw that it contained a kind of elixir. He closed the box and put it in his pocket. Then he lit a fire, infused it with perfume, and recited a spell. The palace vanished, along with the cave and mound he had created with the power of the spell. We returned to the same plain where the camels were tied. We loaded all the camels with kurj, sands, and as promised, tied half of each camel to each. We then left through the same narrow pass we had come through. Reaching the plain on the way to Basra and Baghdad, I took my 40 camels and headed towards Baghdad, while the fakir took his 40 camels towards Basra. I had only taken a few steps when Satan filled my heart with greed, and I turned back. I ran towards him and called out to the fakir. He stopped, and I said, "Saiji, you are a devotee of God. What will you do with so much money? It will make it difficult for you to worship God. If you don't mind, I will take 10 camels from your share, you know that." I wondered how much money matters to worldly people like me. The fakir smiled at this and said, "Okay, take 10 more camels." When the fakir willingly gave me 10 camels without any argument, greed overtook me, and I thought, I'll take 10 more camels, but it won't make any difference. So I went back to him and said, "Saiji, you'll say this man is constantly bothering me, but I wonder how a saint like you will manage 30 camels. This will cause a lot of trouble in your spiritual practice. Please give me 10 more of these camels." The fakir smiled again and said, "You're right, 20 camels are enough for me. You can take 10 more." I took 10 more camels and left, but I was possessed by greed. Or rather, the fakir was instilling greed in me with his gaze and behavior. I turned back, said the same thing as before, and took 10 more camels. I asked him for it. He smiled and accepted, keeping 10 for himself, and gave me 10. But unfortunate me, I wasn't satisfied. I tried to banish the thought of the other 10 camels, but they kept lingering in my mind. I returned to the fakir again on the way, and after pleading with him, asked for the remaining camels. He smiled and said, "Brother, your intentions are never satisfied. Take the remaining 10 camels as well. May God bless you." Even after receiving all the money, my heart remained unmoved. I said, "Sir, you've been so kind. Please give me the ointment box you took from the jinn's palace." He said, "I won't give it." I was tempted, and I began arguing with the fakir to give it to me. I had decided in my heart that if the fakir didn't give it to me willingly, I would take it from him by force. Knowing what was in my mind, the fakir gave me the ointment box as well. He gave it to me and said, "You must take the box, but it's important that you understand the speciality of this ointment. If you apply a little of this ointment to your left eye, you will begin to see the hidden treasures of the entire world. But if you apply it to your right eye, you will become blind in both eyes forever." I said, "Saiji, you are an expert on this ointment. You should apply it to my eye." The fakir closed my left eye and took a little ointment and applied it to my eyelid. As soon as the ointment was applied, it happened just as the fakir had said. I began to see hidden and underground treasures from all over the world. I was already blinded by greed. I thought there must be many more treasures that I couldn't see. I closed my right eye and asked the fakir to apply the ointment to this one too, so I could see the other treasures. The fakir said, "Don't talk like that. If you apply the ointment to your right eye, you will become blind forever." My mind was clouded. I thought this fakir was deceiving me. It could be that by applying the ointment to my left eye, I would be blinded. I pursued him to find out about the fakir's other powers. He repeatedly told me to stop this foolish attitude and stop talking about applying the ointment to my right eye. However, I always believed he was deliberately not applying the ointment to my right eye. I kept telling him to apply the ointment to my right eye. He said, "Brother, why are you insisting? I've benefited you, but I want to suffer the same amount of harm from you. Why should I do you harm after doing good to you once?" I replied, "Just as you fulfilled my wishes so far, fulfill this last wish as well. If I suffer any harm from this, the responsibility will be mine, not yours." He said, "Well, if you want your own destruction, then that's it." Having said this, he applied the ointment to my right eyelid as well. As soon as the ointment was applied, I became completely blind. I was deeply saddened, and I forgot my foolishness. I started abusing the fakir and said, "What use is all this money to me now? Just heal me and take your share of the 40 camels and go away." He said, "Nothing can be done now. I had already warned you." I pleaded with him further, and he said, "I tried very hard for your welfare, and I always gave you the right advice, but you mistook my words for deception and insisted on wrong things. Whatever has happened now, I cannot correct it. Your sight will never return." I pleaded with him profusely. "Saiji, I have no greed now. You can happily take all my money and my 80 camels. Just give me back my eyesight." He did not respond to my words. but instead took all the camels and the wealth loaded on them and headed towards Basra. Hearing the sound of the camels, I shouted, "Saiji, please do me this favor and don't leave me in this condition in the jungle. Take me with you. If I find a merchant on the way to Baghdad, I will join him." But he did not listen to me and left, leaving me in the darkness. I started wandering here and there. I didn't know the way, so I started walking. I fell exhausted and fainted from hunger and thirst. Luckily, the very next day, a group of merchants traveling from Basra to Baghdad passed by that way. They were impressed by my condition and brought me to Baghdad. Now, I had no other option but to beg. I was so saddened by my greed and stupidity that I swore I wouldn't beg from anyone unless they hit me on the head. That's why I spoke to you yesterday. The Caliph said, "Your stupidity was great. May God forgive you. Now go and tell your story to all your beggars so that everyone knows the consequences of greed. Now, stop begging. You will receive 5 rupees every day from my treasury, and this will be for your entire life." Baba Abdullah, bowing his head to the ground, said, "I will happily obey the government's orders." So friends, this was today's short, interesting story from the Arabian Nights, which is both entertaining and profound. It also teaches a lesson. I'm sure you'll enjoy this story. If you do, please subscribe to the channel and like and share the video.